Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Q&A session for our Career Video Library here at Nevada State. My name is Zach Kaczynski. I'm the Coordinator of Employer Relations here in the Career Services Center. And today we have Richard from Aardvark Video. I'm going to go ahead and have him introduce himself, and then we will jump right into our questions.
Well, thank you for the intro, Zach, and thank you for having us in your video. As Zach said, I'm Richard DePaso, and I'm from Aardvark Video. I'm the managing director. Aardvark Video has been in business for over 30 years, first in New York, and since 2002 out here in Nevada.
Awesome. And thank you so much, Richard, for taking the time. You know, this project would not be possible if our employers did not, were not willing to help us out with it. So I really appreciate you taking the time. So can you tell us a little bit more about Aardvark Video?
Well, sure. We're a B2B video production company. So typically we're not doing weddings and we're not doing consumer type of video. And it's video for training, video for marketing, social media engagement video, just about anything that you've seen a business do for video, that's what we produce. And we also produce virtual events, even complete virtual trade shows. We have a lot of experience with live streaming. So when everything kind of shut down out here, where we were doing a lot of trade show work, the transition to the virtual environment was kind of a natural turn for us.
Awesome. Yeah, I can imagine you've been very busy during COVID with so many things going virtual. So a question I like to ask a lot of our employers, just to get some of your insight, is what is a piece of career or life advice that you wish someone had given you when you were a student?
A very good question. And what I would say, and what I did wrong, was I went to college and I got a degree in psychology. And I thought, well, when I get out of school, I'll figure out what I want to do. And that's not really the best way to go about it. So the psychology degree was very important because it taught you how to systematically address situations and to reduce variables and to be a better business person. When I got out of school, I really had to say, okay, now here I am with a bachelor's degree. What do I do now? So we were living in Florida at the time. And I had a brother that ran a nightclub in New York, and he asked me to move north and help him run it. And I did that, and it was a ball for a few years. But then I got married, and when you get married and you're helping to run a nightclub, that kind of doesn't work very well. So I decided that I had to try to get a real job. And I went to work for the phone company. At that point, it was New York Telephone, and New York Telephone since then has become a part of Verizon. And I was hired in the engineering department because I had kind of an understanding of engineering. And when they gave me the test, I did very well on it. And I stayed with New York Telephone. I moved up, and ultimately I had responsibilities to manage on a company-wide basis for many different programs. But I was traveling 4 hours a day commuting, 2 hours to work and 2 hours back. And though people that were doing it didn't realize there was anything wrong with it, to me, it was a terrible way to live. And I decided I had to have an exit strategy. What I did in 1987 is start a part-time video business because my sons were very active in sports, and I had developed some decent skills with a video camera and editing and everything that goes with it. And as time went on, that part-time business got busier and busier, where I started out doing it on the weekends. Pretty soon, I had people working for me full-time during the day. And we gravitated from doing things that only could be done on weekends to they were doing projects during the week. In 1995, Verizon was giving opportunities for retirement. They enhanced the pensions that they would give you. They were giving you extra years, extra money. And it was an excellent time to get out. And for me, it was a seamless transition. One day I went to work in New York City. The next day, I didn't have to go to New York City, and my business was waiting for me. I did that for quite a number of years, from 1995 to probably 2001, right around 9/11. And because I grew up in Florida, I knew that living in New York was not something I wanted to do forever. I hated the climate. I hated how you lost so much of the year with bad weather, but I couldn't convince my wife to move from there. Well, our sons moved to the West Coast. One moved to San Diego, and the other one moved out here to Las Vegas. All of a sudden, she said, you know, it's maybe not so bad to leave New York. And I spent a year going back and forth between San Diego and Las Vegas, looking at various neighborhoods, looking at various business opportunities. And I decided to move to Las Vegas. So I split my New York business in two and left the people that were working for me there to run the business and came out here. And before we even moved, I started the business, I registered it, I started marketing, advertising, getting everything in place so that we could have a little bit of a head start. In 2002, we moved out and Aardvark Video was here. Now people say, why is the name Aardvark Video? That's kind of an odd one. And the answer is because this business was started in 1987. And at that point, your major advertising opportunity was the Yellow Pages, and a AA meant something. Yeah. Once we got to Nevada, we thought it was going to be very similar to New York because we were right in the center of the corporate headquarters area in Westchester County. You had IBM, you had General Foods, you had all the corporate headquarters right there. Plus we were just 30 miles from New York City with all the PR agencies. And we were very busy, very successful. We came out here and we expected the same thing because of what you see on the strip, that there would be media sophistication. Well, we found that the business community wasn't like it was in New York. They really didn't know how to use video. And over time, we gravitated to the trade show market. And for many years, that was the majority of our business. Of course, with trade shows stopping last year, we've taken a little bit of a pause with that, but we expect to see a resumption that there's going to be hybrid shows, components of live combined with virtual, and we're prepared to do that. We've got 15 match cameras for live simultaneous breakout rooms and all kinds of things. Well, to continue the story, ultimately I sold the New York business to the people that were working for me because it became too tedious traveling back and forth trying to run both. And we've focused out here ever since.
Awesome, thank you for that. That's just another example of what I like to mention to students, that you never know where your career is going to take you. You start in psychology and you end up starting an awesome video company. So you never know. What sorts of opportunities are you offering students at Aardvark?
When somebody comes to us, we try to explain to them what their role would be, and it surprises a lot of them because they think that it's all fun and games. You're going to be handling equipment, shooting, editing, doing all the work that is associated with video production. And the truth of the matter is that there's about an 80-20 split. 80% of the work is marketing, administration, working on the business as opposed to working in the business. If you work just in the business, shooting, editing, that type of thing, you're really not going to grow. You're not going to be successful. You have to constantly be adding customers and making the business perform better and better. When we get somebody in here, we assess what their capabilities are. And we find that though the schools are very effective at providing a backbone of a lot of the things they have to do, there's a lot of gaps that have to be filled in. So we'll spend a lot of time training people on how to handle equipment, how equipment works, how to get proper exposure, composition, that type of thing. And we'll let them go out on projects with us. At first, they're just likely going to be packing and unpacking equipment so they get familiar with it. They'll gravitate to being a second camera. Maybe we'll teach them how to use audio. And ultimately, they'll get to the point where we can send them out alone on projects. It takes quite a lot of time. That's the production end of it. The other end of it is going back to the 80-20, all the administration and the marketing. We do a lot of social media engagement work. We do AdWords. We do all kinds of posts. We do everything we can to join organizations, to be well known. And we expect our interns to be part of this. So they're going to be spending 80% of the time in an office environment working on the business, not necessarily in the business.
Awesome. So yeah, that's something that I wanted to point out as well, is that even though Aardvark is, of course, a video production company, this opportunity is going to appeal to business majors, people who want to go into marketing, people who maybe communications majors. So I know that marketing is something that a lot of students are interested in. So this is something that applies to a lot of different students. So I think we covered a little bit of the next question of what sort of work interns do. So I'll go ahead and jump to the next one. What do you look for in a great intern?
Somebody who wants to learn and is willing to learn. Somebody that doesn't have an entitlement type of outlook, that they don't think just showing up is good enough. They have to look at this as a job that they want to accomplish things they want to do well at. They have to be punctual. I can't tell you how many people we've had that they'll think coming in at 10 o'clock is okay when they're supposed to be here at 9:30, and they don't call and say they're going to be late. People have to be able to interact with customers. They have to be polite. They have to be respectful. They have to dress properly. So it's a lot of things that are just common sense, but kids don't really recognize that they're important today. If you show up here in torn jeans, that's not going to be as appropriate as if you show up in a pair of slacks and a collared shirt. I can also tell you that we look for interns that have some background to understand what we're talking about, whether it be in the video end of it or the computer end of it, that they need to be pretty computer literate. I got a resume from a girl in here yesterday, and in the first two paragraphs, there were 6 typos, 6 spelling and grammar errors. And it's like, well, if you can't send me a resume that is clean from errors, how are you going to be able to do any work here? So that kind of thing is important to us. Maybe we're old-fashioned, but that immediately disqualified her.
Yeah, I would say you are definitely not old-fashioned. And if students, that's why one of the big services we offer here in the Career Services Center is resume reviews. We go over in very careful detail of every element of your resume, including typos and things and formatting. So, resumes are important to everybody. That's not old fashioned at all. That is still very much what employers are looking for in any industry. So going on to the next question, do you look for students in a particular major or anything like that?
Well, there are a lot of majors that can do this type of work. As I said, my major is psychology, and I've been in the video business for a long time, and by most measures, we've been reasonably successful. So it's the characteristics that I mentioned earlier. And again, they have to be computer literate to the extent that they understand marketing, they understand keywords, they know how to make modifications to a website, they know how to use virtual tools that we teach them, a lot of those, how to build like a virtual trade show. We don't expect that they're going to know how to do that right off the bat, but they have to be able to pick it up because they're computer literate enough to understand how to move things around and how to work with a computer.
Right. Yeah, and that's a question that I like to ask because I think a lot of students think that their major is limiting to them in some ways, but that's not always the case. A lot of employers, that may not be as important to them as you might think. It's about the skills that you have and
right.
what you can do that you bring to the table, which is why internships were like this, where you learn new skills and things, are so important. Really rounds you out.
Well, Zach, and what we do is we bring people in as interns so that they can prove their mettle. If they turn out that they're able to do the work and they've got a real interest in being successful at it, that could lead to a full-time job. One of the people that we have here now, we hired as an intern from the IT Institute 7 years ago, and he's a full-time employee now. Other people, they'd show up for a week and they decide that, well, you know, this is a lot of effort I have to put in coming here to learn things, and I'd rather just go and play my video game somewhere. They don't make it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So if students are interested, how do they go about applying? And do you have a specific deadline?
I don't have a deadline, but the information to apply is right above me. You could call us at 702-897-4477 or reach out to us at aardvarkvideo@gmail.com. And one of the things that I wanted to show the people that are watching this, Zach, is some of the equipment that they will be able to learn from. They've probably heard of some of this before, maybe not, but this is a Sony FS7. We have a couple of those, and that's certified to make Netflix documentaries. So we can do anything with one of those cameras. Here's a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, 6K. This can do anything. We have 15 cameras similar to this that we use for breakout rooms. So we can record 15 different things simultaneously, and they're all matched up. For your students that do have some background in video, we have 2 TriCasters, we have 2 vMix machines, we have a bunch of Wirecast machines, and a lot of hardware switchers. So basically, we could do just about anything, live or virtual. And people that want to learn, and they've come here and they told us that they've learned more in 2 years just with practical hands-on experience than they learned in their entire college career.
Yeah, and something even as simple as having worked with one of those cameras, it's something you can put on a resume and say, hey, look, I've worked with these industry standard pieces of equipment. And in the future, for other things that they apply to, if they end up, wanting to leave Vegas or whatever it might be, those things are impressive to employers. So it's a great opportunity. So finally, my last question here is, although I guess you've already said it, which is, if students want to contact you, if they have more questions, how can they reach you? I think it's right above your head.
Yeah.
Awesome. So also I was going to mention, if students are using Handshake, you can also jump on Handshake, and the internship posting is there also, and it has the link to where to send your information. So that's another place they can find it if they're already looking on Handshake. So thank you so much, Richard. That's the end of our questions here. I think this was a great conversation. I really appreciate your time. Students, please reach out to Richard. He wants to hear from you. He's excited about this opportunity, and I hope you are too. And just thank you so much.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you.